Bitcoin and metals versus the banks. Yeah, I put them in the same basket. I know. I'll get one side saying only metals, one side saying only Bitcoin. The point is taking custody of your capital in an asset. So the reason I titled this Bitcoin versus banks is because I wanted to talk about how you get banks to actually change for the better. Because what I see right now is the banks have gotten very comfortable. They are high on a pedestal. And how do we know this? Well, they're paying no interest on our money. And when I say no interest, I mean less than a penny on the dollar. The problem with that is we have a major crisis on our hands because, and this is my opinion, not financial advice, disclaimer, we have a situation where there's been a ton of money flooded into the system. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing the real inflation rate when I go and I buy my groceries. When I go to the gas pump, I'm seeing the real inflation rate. The bank is not paying us any interest to keep our ice cube frozen, our ice cube being our dollars. So if we're saving our money in dollars, we put it in the bank, they don't pay us an interest rate to compensate for the inflation that they created at the central and commercial banks. So in that situation, you would think that these banks would go, we're really sorry about putting you in this, we the people, in this predicament where we basically have diluted the system. We've printed a bunch of money. We injected it into the economy. And now we took your money. We're making fortunes off of your money, by the way, because we're invested in the market, which has been pumped up due to us injecting a bunch of money into the system. So they've made fortunes off of us, but still, they don't want to pay us an interest rate. They don't want to help us keep our ice cubes frozen. So why do we keep our capital at the bank? Why is that? You see, the way banks change is you don't hope they're going to get some sort of moral compass. You don't hope that a banker is going to go, I feel so sorry. We've made hundreds and hundreds of percents off of the people's money. We should probably give them at least an interest rate to keep their ice cube frozen. They say the inflation rate is only 5%, something along those lines. I think it's a lot higher than that. I think it's a lot higher than that when you actually look at the real things that matter. And I think that we're going to see more and more and more of that. So how do you get them to change? Well, let's take something that actually did get them to change as of recent, within the last few years here. I don't know if you've noticed this, but there was something that came out that's called Zelle. Now, Zelle is the bank's system where they agree with the other banks, whether it's like Bank of America to Chase Bank or Wells Fargo to Chase Bank or whatever. The banks are using this new thing called Zelle. They didn't want to give us this ability to peer-to-peer send, I think the cap is $2,500 a day on Zelle. They didn't want to give us that. They would love for us to use, the things that make them money, like wire transfers, etc., checks. But they gave us Zelle, and they put a cap on it, obviously. They only allow a certain amount because they don't want us to get around the wire transfer system, Oh, no, we couldn't get out of paying $35 to send a wire and then another $15 to receive it. No. We don't want to let them out of that when they're moving large amounts of money around. But to send a smaller amount of money, they still didn't want to do this. But the reason they came out with Zelle wasn't due to their moral compass, wasn't due to a banker wanting to do the right thing, because we all know they don't want to do that. It was because Venmo and Cash App were coming into the space, and they saw money leaving the system and going into these other online banks where they were allowing us to peer-to-peer, and they were making money off. They realized, wait, if we get the capital and we give people the ability to send money peer-to-peer, well, that's gonna be profitable. We're gonna be able to rehypothecate that money, make interest off of that money in the background. We're also gonna make money off of all these different expenses behind the scenes. Cash App found a way to monetize being able to buy and sell Bitcoin on their platform. A lot of different things like that are happening because of Cash App and Venmo and these payment processors. Now, the banks were forced to change. The banks didn't want to change. They were forced to change because they realized, well, the money's going to flood out of our system if we keep taking advantage of everybody. You see where I'm going with this? The more money that leaves the bank and the more people that go, you know what? I'm going to put my Bitcoin, Mr. Diamond, I'd like to take my money out of Chase and I'd like to put it on this little device in Bitcoin. So wire my money over to Coinbase. Coinbase, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin and I'm going to put it on this device. And I'm not even going to let Coinbase hold it. I'm not going to let you hold it. And nobody's going to hold my money but me. It's going to be on this device. I have custody of it. I have the passwords in this device. That's what's going to get the banks to change. Going, hey, I don't want to hold your ETF because SLV is actually owned by Jamie Dimon, by JP Morgan. And again, this is just my opinion. Could be wrong, disclaimer. So I want to actually have the real bars. I want them here. I don't want to be like Peter Schiff and have a digital blockchain-based silver and gold. No, I don't want the ETF. I want the physical thing right here on my table. I want it, the real thing. You know why? Because that means I've taken it out of that system and I have leverage now. Now the power is on my side. I'm not giving them a lifeline. The problem I see with these ETFs is that's a way for hedge funds to make a little bit of a percentage by rehypothecating people's money and doing all that stuff behind the scenes, and they make their percentage an annual percent for their fund or however they make money off of that by moving the money around into these things. I want to take those tools away. Put it into my own custody. I want to be self-sovereign. That's the goal here. And that's why I got so big on Bitcoin in addition to my metal. Because I realized that's the best way to be sovereign in the digital realm. You can't have a digital blockchain-based silver and gold because then you lose that ability to actually take custody of it. You're trusting another custodian. That's not a good situation. You do not want to trust other people. Don't trust, verify. And the only way to verify is by knowing it's there and knowing that you have real custody on it. So when I say Bitcoin and metals versus the banks, that's the real situation there. It's not about this idea. And that's what makes me, that's why I kind of belittle the movement with, movement. I don't really think it's a movement. I've talked about this in the past with GameStop and AMC and all of that, because at the end of the day, say they found a way to short squeeze it to the moon, right? That money is still in the system. You still have to trust TD Ameritrade or whatever exchange you're using, broker you're using, that to sell it and then be able to move it from there into the bank, and then the bank to be solvent enough to give you your money. So that's the problem there. If silver goes to the moon, if Bitcoin goes to the moon, I don't have to ask anybody for my money. That's the difference. You see, that's the biggest thing that everyone's overlooking. I don't have to ask anybody for my money. I don't have to go to the bank. I don't have to beg them. I don't have to plead with them. I don't have to deal with any of their stuff. I have it, period. And when I do that, there's a sense of security for me, but it also gives us leverage over them, people who have been taking advantage of us. How do you get the banks to actually pay us an interest rate to compensate for the inflation that they created themselves? You take the money away from them. That's how you get them to change. And then when you do that, then they start coming back to you and going, maybe we should give them something called Zelle. A lot of the money's flooding out to Venmo and Cash App. We'll give them something named Zelle. Darn. We didn't want to give them anything, but I guess we'll have to give them Zelle. Oh, all this money's leaving and going into Bitcoin, and they don't want to let us hold the Bitcoin. They want to take actual custody of the Bitcoin and own it themselves. Oh, no, we got to do something here. And all of a sudden, you'll see the banks offering real interest rates again. I remember when I was a kid, interest rates for a CD account, and that was like 6%, 8% or something. Now they won't even give you money if you lock it up. I don't want to lock up the money. I want 10%, period. If I have capital at your bank, if we the people have capital at your bank, I want 10%, period. I don't care I don't want it to be locked up. I don't care if it's a checking account, a savings account, whatever. You're making plenty of money off of our money, banks. We want a real interest rate to compensate for the inflation that you created. We want to keep our ice cubes frozen. Better yet, we want to add a little bit of ice to our ice cubes if we're letting you hold our capital. It's been far too long that these banks have been high on the pedestal where they feel really comfortable getting 0% loans from the Fed. They get their money for zero, and then they get our money for pretty much zero, not even a penny on the dollar. At some point, the people got to draw the line and say, you know what? Enough's enough. We need a fair interest rate to compensate for this inflation that you created, or we're taking our money away from you, period. That's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. If this video helps, if it gets you a little bit, gets me fired up myself, thinking about it, just how taken advantage of we've become. And it's like we're oblivious to it. Like it's just become this digital thing. Like when we look at the money on our app on our phone and we go, okay, well, this is how much money I have in this bank's app. It's just a digital number. That money's all rehypothecated. These banks are not solvent. So I'm just trusting that this money is in this bank by looking at this app on my phone. Is the money really there? Is it? Because it doesn't seem to be that way. And when I have that digital number there, do I have real custody of it? Or am I trusting somebody else with custody of money that doesn't even exist there and has been rehypothecated as well? Makes you realize that this Bitcoin thing, even though it's digital, makes a lot of sense because I'm trusting quite a bit on this digital number here that's not backed to any blockchain, doesn't have miners securing the system, doesn't have any nodes behind it. It's just a number on the screen of their software while they rehypothecate our money and give us no interest on our capital. That money just stays the same, losing more and more and more buying power by the year. If your money's sitting in a bank account, it is losing at a minimum 5% year over year, probably a lot more than that when you calculate what the real interest rates are, real inflation rates are. When you go to the gas pump, I don't know about you, but gas where I'm at is getting towards more than $5 a gallon. So it's like, it's getting pretty intense, and I think it's not going to slow down anytime soon. And we might hit a situation of hyperinflation where it gets out of control. I would argue we're already in stagflation right now, which will probably be the next video. So yeah, if this video helped you in any way, please share it, get it out there to more people, because I would love for this to be a message that gets out to the banks like, hey, we're sick of it. We need a fair interest rate. And if you like the video, would really appreciate it. It helps to get it out there. If you hit the thumbs up over there, take a second to make that thumbs up blue. Would really appreciate it. And if you want to be subscribed to the channel, would love to have you a subscriber. You just click subscribe. Should be somewhere in the corner over here. And if you click the bell, you'll be notified of all future videos. I plan to be rolling out a lot more. I'm doing like 3 podcasts a week now. I have them all lined up. So there's going to be long form podcasts on the channel. I have a different playlist I just put in recently for those podcasts. And I plan to be making a lot of content over these next weeks here and indefinitely on the channel. So thank you for all the support. And have a great rest of your day. And it's about time we make a little bit of a change here with the way that banks treat we the people.